Ali Velshi is there on the Gulf Coast, specifically in Naples. And Ali, you have been in it for the last, I think, 2 hours, two and a half hours or so.
Yeah.
Roads still flooded, I assume. Tell me what you're seeing, because you have a very dramatic shot where you are.
Yeah. Well, here's the other dramatic part, how much it's changed. Take a look at this. You can see the ground. By the way, this is a tarmac ground, but now it's all sand because that's all the water.
Well, wait a second. Let me make sure that I understand what I'm seeing. This is sand and road, basically. Can I just tell people who might not?
Yes.
I don't know if we have the shot. If we have, I'm going to ask our team, if we have the video from Ali Velshi not even an hour ago, you couldn't see the color of these cars.
It was under several feet of water.
I wouldn't be able to tell that was a white car. Yeah, they were underwater.
Yeah, right.
Look at that. That's what it looked like. We're showing people what it looked like 1 hour ago, right? And so is this because of the power of the hurricane basically sucking the water back out?
It is two things. Part of it is that, and part of it is that at 3:20 p.m. Eastern is when we hit high tide here. So the tide itself is receding under normal circumstances. Like that would normally be happening anyway. So you're seeing two things happen here. However, you did see all the impact of all of those cars that had been moved. They were all nicely aligned in a row, and they were parked, and they've all floated off. You can see the ground. I want to ask Randy to bring us over here and take a look at the ocean, which is much, much calmer. It's still a rough ocean. It's the Gulf of Mexico, but it's much calmer, and the direction of the water has changed. The direction earlier was coming toward us from the back of your screen toward you. Now it's going from the left, from the right to the left. So the storm direction has changed, which always happens on the back of a storm. And if you look down here, Randy, this Hallie was where the water was coming in from the right to the left, the storm surge. You hardly see that now. You see a little bit of it. The water has now gone back into the Gulf of Mexico.
Under you
now again,
an hour ago.
There was a fridge, right. So things have changed fairly dramatically here, but this is a moving storm. So there are parts of Florida where things are really bad, and with each passing hour, we're finding out about more power outages, far more than 1 million people now. I haven't seen the last update, but I'm assuming it just keeps going up with each one. We had a report from a town where the wastewater reservoir is about to be overtopped, and that's a big problem when wastewater starts getting into public drainage water. So there's a lot that's wrong here. A lot that needs to be fixed. And the problem with this, Hallie, is people who sort of say, all right, I've dodged a bullet, the worst is over, let me go out. There's nothing but debris. See, as the water recedes, there's all sorts of debris. There's tables, there's gates, there's dangerous stuff, there's siding, there's doors, and if you your car can start to float in 6 inches of water, a foot of water. There's still way more than a foot of water, as you can see with those cars down there. So it's not solved. It's not even close to over. And in parts of Florida, this is still just hitting. There are still going to be trees and poles coming down, still going to be power lines taken out. But at least we can start to see what the back of it looks like. But it's not going to be, even in Naples, it's not going to be until tomorrow that emergency services start to come out and assess the damage, get tow trucks to pull these cars out. It's a while.
I was just going to ask, because that's been a key part of this storyline, as I've talked with some officials up and down the coast, mayors, emergency services folks. They've said, listen, our people cannot get out. They cannot actually get through this, even when it looks like what it looks like where you are at this point.
Yeah. And I remind you, I'm here behind a wall. If I lean over here into the wind, you hear the wind. You hear it's still a very, very windy day out here. It's too windy for people to be fixing power lines. Look at that. Something just came down over there. I guess there we go. Look at that. A very light paddle board. But that stuff's still flying around. Stuff's still dangerous. They can't fix power lines. They can't do that stuff, and they need to evaluate it. And there's still going to be people who, have heart attacks and need ambulances and need to get to the hospital. So they want people off the road. They don't want more people stuck. They want people to just sit this out and let them take care of it tomorrow. But the good news is we will probably see the sun set on Naples tonight with the worst of the damage behind us, and then tomorrow they will begin evaluating. For Naples, because there's so much infrastructure here, they'll probably get the electricity up fairly soon. But, there are parts of Florida, particularly on the West Coast, that are not nearly that developed. And that could take days to weeks to get power and water in a good position. So a lot more to come.
Well, and this is, you talk about the cleanup alley and the long road ahead. This is the same area that got walloped by Charlie, roughly the same area 18 years ago. I mean, that was a tens of $20+ billion of cleanup.
And a much smaller storm. So, yeah, there's going to be a lot of work to be done here.
Thanks for watching our YouTube channel. Follow today's top stories and breaking news by downloading the NBC News app.